Hello and welcome back to Yeti Kitchen, where we're making some Portuguese tarts. We're going to start with 1 cup of all-purpose flour with some salt, about a 1/4 teaspoon. We're going to use 1/3 to 1/4 of a cup of cold water, but here you kind of want to eyeball it. Mix it all together and you want to make a very sticky dough. This is my first time making Portuguese tarts, so you're going to join me on my journey. I'm not much of a baker, so if you see anything wrong or you have any tips, please leave it in the comments. I do read every comment and I appreciate it. After you're done mixing it up, you'll just want to throw it on a well-floured surface and work it into a little ball. You have to be generous with the flour because it is very sticky. Now let's cover it and let the dough rest for about 15 to 20 minutes. Once that's done, we'll take the cover off and we'll roll it out. As you can see, very sticky. I have to use a lot of the flour on the sides. We're basically making a puff pastry. So you're going to want to roll it out and you want to kind of create a square or rectangle shape. And like I said, be generous with the flour. Don't be afraid. It will stick all over your surface. Now you want soft, spreadable butter, and we're going to be spreading it 3 times, so you'll need about a stick. The reason you want it soft and spreadable, like this, is because if it's too stiff, it will rip your dough. You just want to create a thin layer. Once we're done that, we'll fold one side over right into the middle. I had to use my scraper because, like I said, very sticky dough. And we'll fold the other side. I never was good at arts and crafts, folding, cutting, origami, you name it, I was terrible at it. So you'll see how janky my dough is. And that's okay. That's the great thing about cooking and baking. Not all of us have the same skill set, but we can all create delicious food. Now you're going to want to roll it out again. If you use too much butter, you will roll the butter out to the side. I had a little bit of that happen. You could see the bubbles forming on the end of my dough. Those are little pockets of butter, so you just want to be wary of that. And once we're done that, we'll apply our second layer of butter and repeat the process. Fold it back over. And we're going to pop it in the fridge for about 30 to 40 minutes. You don't want the butter to become absolutely solid. You just want it to solidify a little while it's in the fridge and let the dough rest a bit. Once we're done, we'll bring it back out and roll it out again. I do very much recommend flouring your rolling pin. Alright, we're going to spread it again, and this will be our final layer. You want to keep about a 1/2 inch from the sides. And 1 inch on top, because when we roll it, we want somewhere to have it stick. You wet the top part with a small amount of water so it creates the stickiness. Alright, we're gonna wrap it up, throw it in the fridge for a minimum of 2 hours, but I recommend leaving it overnight. Afterwards, we'll unwrap it and cut the ends off to make a more symmetrical shape. Oh man, look at that spiral. I used the first piece I cut as a guide, but if you're really good at measuring, I'd say just measure it out with little slits and cut it that way. This recipe normally yields 12 tarts, but I only came out with 11. I decided to use a pie tin for mine. You'll want to gently depress the middle and then gently work the sides out. You want to create a bit of a lip, so if you have any overflow with the filling, the crust will catch it. Then watch me go at my sonic speed. If you're finding the dough is sticking to your fingers, use a little bit of water. Now let's make the simple syrup for the sweetening. You'll need 1 cup of sugar, 1/3 a cup of water, give or take. Use some cinnamon. I used ground cinnamon. I would recommend using cinnamon stick. You want to boil it till it's about 220 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, let's make the custard. Use 1/3 a cup of flour, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You can also use cornstarch, 1.5 cups of milk. I'm using 2%. Whisk the flour and the milk together, and then throw it on the heat. Now you do not want to boil this. You just want to gently heat it until it thickens up. It looks almost like a bechamel by the time you're done. This is what you're looking for. Next, separate 6 egg yolks. Pop them in and whisk them. I'd recommend cooling your custard mixture before adding the egg yolks, but if you're quick enough, just mix it on in. Next, we'll throw in our simple syrup. And 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. Now whisk it together until it's well incorporated. You can strain it, it's completely optional, but I do like the smoother consistency. It gets out some of those flour clumps if there's any left over, or any egg chunks. As you'll see. Next, we'll fill up our tarts and throw it in the oven. You want your oven to be about 500 to 550, but you'll want to be careful because I almost lit my oven on fire. Make sure you have a tray underneath to catch any excess butter. And then you'll be left with these delicious, golden crispy tarts. This is only level 1, so this is the easiest recipe I could find to make egg tarts. It was pretty hot when I bit into it, but it was delicious. Thank you again for joining me for this episode of Yeti Kitchen. This is only level 1. Next time we'll be doing a little bit of a harder recipe using a lot more butter in the dough, chilled butter. So we'll incorporate it through, and when we make our custard, instead of using flour, we'll actually use a heavy cream to thicken instead, which is a lot better, in terms of taste anyways. But thanks again for joining me. You can always catch me on Twitch, where I do some streaming, where I cook, play games, have watch parties, and just hang out. I hope you're having a great day, and very happy New Year's to you. I'll catch you next time on Yeti Kitchen.